Look, if we've learned anything in the past 18 months is that the coronavirus can and often will surprise us.
So what will life look like in 2022? To discuss, we're joined by Executive Director of Sydney Catholic Schools, Tony Farley, CEO of the Victorian Chamber of Commerce, Paul Guerra in Melbourne, and CEO of the National Retail Association, Dominic Lamb in Brisbane. Good morning, guys. Let's go to you first, Tony. After almost 2 years of homeschooling, what are parents likely to face next year?
Well, it hasn't all been homeschooling. We've actually had periods where we've had homeschooling and where we've had face-to-face. And we're planning for next year that we'll go straight back to face-to-face. But we're guided by the health authorities, and so if there needs to be changes as far as that's concerned, we'll adjust and adapt. And after 2 years, we're getting pretty good at that.
Well, obviously there'll be COVID-safe rules in the classroom, perhaps even masks too. Is that going to be on the boards?
Look, at the moment, we've got a reasonable degree of freedom and we can't anticipate what might come ahead. But what we do know is that we've got a very responsive health system, and the education sector generally, and certainly our experience of it has been that where we need to do something, we get it done very quickly, we adjust, and if that needs to change in a week or two or a month or two, then we're ready to do it.
OK, so what about school excursions and sports carnivals? Will they be back on the cards next year?
Well, the good news for us is that we're planning all of our school excursions, our swimming carnivals, our athletics carnivals, our school musicals. We're planning to do all of those. Now, if we have to adjust those particular programs because of advice from health, we'll do it. But I'll give you an example. We've got a huge education music program, Amadeus, which is being rolled out for all of our students across all of our schools from year 3 to year 8. Now, we're going to be doing that and we're going to continue with that because we're not going to let COVID get in the way of great teaching and learning.
It worked for Mozart, it can work for them. All right, Paul, let's go to you now. Let's talk about workplaces. Will employees still be working from home? Is that the recommendations?
Yeah, good morning. Look, I think we're going to end up in a blended environment where there'll be some work done at home and some work done at the office. We've learned over the past couple of years through this COVID arrangement that the hybrid work arrangement does actually suit a lot of employees and it does actually suit a lot of businesses as well. We've finally been able to crack that work-life balance a little bit, but it can't be just at home. It can't be all in the office. We know that's what employees are telling us. So we think that do your emails and the necessary phone calls at home and then come back into the office for that collaboration.
So what are the biggest issues businesses are facing as they head into the new year?
Yeah, it's on the cusp of Christmas here. We've got the uncertainty reigning again with the Omicron variant sort of coming through. So, look, what business wants next year is a really clean run at it so that we can not only start to get going again, but we know we're going to be able to keep doing that. So, 2 elections for us in Victoria next year. One, the federal election, which everybody has, and then, of course, the state election in November, likely to be within 6 months of each other. We know in the past elections have caused the economy to slow a bit. We hope that's not the case next year. We need some stimulus support. There's a lot of businesses that are on the edge. We hope the trading remains strong. But then what we need governments to think about is how do we stay out of lockdown? The best way to do that is to start preparing our hospital system. We can see what's happening in Europe now. We know there's lockdowns happening everywhere there. So let's get ready for winter here by having additional hospital space, being prepared now so that when we come into winter and the flu rises and perhaps the next variant comes through, we're going to be safe from lockdowns.
All right, Dominic, let's get you involved now. We're heading into a federal election, as Paul just mentioned too. What's your prediction for retail then in 2022?
Look, we know we've had a very positive, Christmas period and, our retailers make about 1/3 of their profit in this time. The question's now going to be, is that sufficient to buoy them through that period? We know that consumers technically and normally hold a bit of a collective breath when it comes to elections. And we know there are a few state elections happening as well as the federal election. So now we just need to make sure that our consumers continue to have confidence to spend because our retailers will ultimately depend upon it.
Our leaders say they're not going to happen, but you don't think lockdowns are over just yet. Is that right?
I mean, we're certainly, quite concerned about a lot of the uncertainty that's happening at the moment. We've got masks coming back, masks coming off. We've got, all sorts of new kind of variants coming into the market. And I guess it's going to be dependent on our hospital systems, as has already been mentioned. I think if the hospital systems continue to be able to support what's happening with health, then of course lockdowns aren't likely. But if we continue to have lockdowns, our businesses are absolutely going to struggle and we really need to make sure that they can continue to trade.
OK, Tony, Paul and Dominic, we really do appreciate your time this morning. Thank you so much.
Thank you.